first light in Vermont on a cool September morning. In 1962, Rachel Carson published her classic environmental book, Silent Spring. I was 5 years old. And somehow I grew up with that sense that as beautiful as the world was around me on the Vermont farm where I was raised, somehow we were poisoning it with pesticides and all the chemicals so-called necessary for modern life. I don't think I even ever read Silent Spring, but the effect of that knowledge of what was happening in the world seeped into me. And for a long time, whenever I would see a scene or a landscape like this, I would see only the ways that we as human beings were poisoning it or messing it up. I would see only that power pole down in the distance there. I would think about the rivers and the streams underneath the trees and underneath that fog that were being poisoned by how we lived on this beautiful landscape. That's all I could see. That was the lens through which I viewed the world. And now at 68 years old, holding this camera with a shaky hand, I see things very differently. Mostly what I see is how huge the wildness is of this world. How much unknown wildlife lives on that hill right over there. Bear and fishers and warblers and thrushes and birds I'll never see, but they're there. I see and feel and hear the deep and somehow comforting wildness that gradually and more deeply feels much bigger than our human presence. I hear the sounds of cars and trucks on the interstate highway that's buried somewhere beneath that fog. But more than that, I see the hugeness of the nature that holds and supports and allows everything we do. I hear the faint late fall sounds of the insects that are still alive after our first frost. I see those dead flowers in the foreground blowing so slightly in a breeze I can't even feel. I hear the birds that don't fly away south for the winter, that hunker down and live here, no matter what the winter brings. And of course, I have no idea what will happen to us, to those layers of mountains and to everything that lives on them and in them. But at 68 years old, after feeling from a young age the pain and the kind of buried anxiety of what we're doing to our world, I hear that crow flying overhead. I see the depth and the consistency and the ever-changing permanence of all this beautiful and simple and complex life. And for the first time in my human life, I do have the feeling that however much we as human beings do or don't figure out how to live peacefully, graciously, cooperatively, symbiotically with each other, And with this incredible web of nature that's here, not just in a spot like this, but even in a single tree or a wildflower growing next to the sidewalk. And it does feel to me for the first time that however much we do or don't figure things out, life in its totality, in its wholeness, and its grandeur does go on, will go on. We may participate, we may continue to be conflicted, but deep down, it's just more hubris to think we can actually destroy this, or we can actually save this. Good morning to all of you, wherever you may be. May you find the peace and the stability and the rootedness of this life that lives all around us. Constantly reminding and holding our lives, no matter how we choose to live them. The sun is coming up behind us. And all this life just seems ready, not impatient, but ready. Are we ready? Can we be this quiet? Enjoy your day wherever you are.